everybody. My name's Craig.
I'm Brian.
I'm Burke.
And I'm Michelle.
And this is Get Dunked On, the podcast.
She played the fiddle in an Irish band, but she fell in love with an Englishman. Anyone? Wait.
I
Wait
listen to that song every day. Every
There
single day.
Kisses her on the neck, that she took me by the hand, said, baby, I just want to dance. Galloway Girl. That's right, by Ed Sheeran. I like that song a lot.
Okay, so that was an honest to God from Michelle
Real
that she
song.
listens to it every day.
Yeah, no,
Not that it's
I
a
was
real
being
song,
serious.
though.
I mean, I don't do justice singing it because I wasn't listening to it, so I was going by memory, so leave me alone. But yeah, no, it's a good song.
Yeah, I've never heard it, so I couldn't.
Yeah,
I
me
couldn't
neither.
really.
Nope.
Really?
I couldn't. No.
It's very catchy.
It is. It's wildly catchy. That's the problem.
Speaking of things being catchy, I had some things pop up recently, guys. Not too long ago, I went over to my sister's house, and she has two children. One of them is 5. One of them is 8 now, I believe. Or they're somewhere around in that range. I don't know. I could be wrong. Anyway, the important thing is I was dealing with the 5-year-old boy, and we were upstairs and we were playing Mario Kart. And I went up there originally because I lent them my Wii U. And I wanted to go up and play Mario Maker because for whatever fucking reason, they will not re-release that stupid game on the Switch. And that's all I want from this world right now is to get Mario Maker on the Switch so I can keep playing because I really enjoyed that game.
Great game.
I am fully aware that I'm probably going to pay $60 for a game that I've already got. And it's literally not going to even be like, but we improved it. It's just going to be whatever. So I'm hoping something comes out soon enough for the Switch so I can keep playing that. But I go up there and I start playing that, and my nephew comes up and he's like, "Hey, do you want to play Mario Kart? Because this game sucks." I'm like, "No, I mean, clearly you're kind of dumb, kid, because this game's a lot better than Mario Kart because this, this game's like infinite. Mario Kart's not infinite, but whatever. Well, we'll go with your 5-year-old mind. And we'll go ahead and do it." He's like, "Cool. Here. That's my controller." And I wanted to be like, well, actually, that's my controller. Because he had the Pro controller. And I wanted to be like, well, that's straight up literally my controller. But whatever. His hands are probably too small for the big Wii U gamepad anyway. Mm-hmm. So I was like, whatever, I'll let it go and I'll play with this. So we start playing. And we get to the first one. He's like, "Oh, I want to do this cup." And they've moved up. Him and his sister play. And they've moved up to 100cc.
Okay.
Yep, 100cc. So for people that aren't familiar with the game, that's roughly like the medium difficulty. There's 50cc, 100cc, and 150. In the new one, there's 200, but let's just not go into that. Let's just go with the standard 3 of them. Go ahead.
So I'm going to pause you right there because, I guess the latest one, maybe on the Wii U. I don't know if I got that one. Maybe it was the one on the Wii that came out. That was the first time I realized that those were difficulties. Yep.
Nice.
Yep. Just granted,
Good.
I didn't have one. I didn't have that was probably the first one I ever played where I owned the console, where I played through the campaign, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The Grand
Prix.
Prix.
The Grand Prix, and I was like, no shit.
It's okay. I call them Grand Prix.
Grand Prix.
Prix. It's a Grand Prix.
Brian.
Anyway,
I didn't know.
so we're playing. And we get to the first one, and he picks one of the cups that they haven't beat yet because he's like, "I want to, beat these cups." And they're trying to get golds on all the cups, but they're accepting literally any trophy on these cups. And so I can see the delineation where it's like gold, silver, bronze, and then they didn't even have the other ones unlocked yet. I don't know how ferociously they play this. So we go through and we start playing, and I can't remember which raceway it is. I know, Brian, you're probably agonizing because I don't remember, but we started off on one of the races. We start playing. I'm like, okay, well, I kick my nephew's ass. I kick everybody's ass in my family in video games every single time. There's no one that comes close, but these two are the only ones that actually play. And he's one of the ones that actually plays. I was like, but he's 5 years old. I'm going to absolutely destroy this kid because he has no idea what, drifting is, the mini boost you get from him.
You should. You should destroy him.
I'm going to absolutely destroy him. We play the first race. We get going. I of course take off way into first. It's only 100 cc, so I'm like, this shouldn't be a problem. Like even at 150, like the only thing that gets you down is like, well, shit, they Mario Karted you. They rubber band you back down.
Yeah.
And 19 blue shells hit you, and you take second. And you're like, well, that was stupid. So we start playing. We get going, and I get through the first lap. I'm just absolutely obliterating everybody. And then coming along, it's like, oh, well, I can see they're kind of rubber banding back. And every single time, he's actually keeping up pretty well. And he's like, hey, you're not allowed to be in first. I'm supposed to be in first. It's like, okay. He's like,
fuck you, kid.
well, yeah. And he goes, and he's like, you're not allowed to pass me if I'm in first. I have to be in first, and you have to stay in second. But if somebody else takes over, you can beat them. So he's basically saying, like, we need to stay a team, but I need to be first in the team.
Oh my God.
I'm like, whatever. He's 5 years old. He's just whatever. And we start going. And so I purposely I don't pass him when he's in first. And he's not in first a ton. So I go back and pass up in front. So we're on to the third lap, right? And I got hit with a little bit of bad luck. I'm like back in fifth because I got hit by like 2 shells in a row. So I was just sitting there.
Sure.
We start going. And I literally didn't pick they didn't have a lot of stuff unlocked. I just was picking random things like for the cart and the paraglider option and the wheels. I was just like, whatever.
Sure.
I started scrolling through. I'm like, I'm going to find the best stuff on here. And I went, boop, boop, boop. I'm back to the beginning. I'm like, well, I don't care anymore. There's only 3 things. It's not going to matter that much. We get going in the third lap and I get kicked down way down to fifth. And then coming through behind me, my nephew has a bullet bill, smokes me with the bullet bill. He starts cracking up because he knows he hit me with the bullet bill.
Yeah.
I get hit by something else right afterwards. I was like, what the fuck's happening? I'm in 12th now. Like, what the fuck? I'm in 12th with my nephew. I need to showcase that I am always going to be better than him at video games, no matter how hard he tries.
Right.
And of course, that bullet bill propels him way into first. Like, he got it when he was in 7th or 8th or whatever, but it just launched him because it was just a big cluster.
Sure.
Launches him way into first. And so we go through and we finish out the race. I end up finishing in 8th and he finishes in 2nd. And he turns to me with like the most disappointed look in his eye. He's like, I thought you were good. And I was like,
oh
Kids like literally don't recognize luck at all.
No, don't recognize luck
don't.
at all. So I sat there and I wish it would have been one of those things where there had been any form of a camera on me, because it would have turned and you would have seen the rage in my eyes light up and the click in my brain where I go, not today, fucko. The rest of the night, I shelled his ass every single time I got. I never took lower than first for the rest of the fucking night.
Of course, yes.
By the end of it, like,
but he'll remember the time that he beat you.
I know. He never brought it back up because I started destroying everybody so heartily, and I kept unlocking new things from him. He's like, "Oh my god, Mom, he unlocked." I can't remember who I unlocked initially, but it was like, he unlocked Wario or whoever the unlocks were, and like would scream and run away and start yelling to everybody downstairs, like, "Oh my god, we've got this! We've unlocked the flower cup!" I've never been so angry with my nephew in one moment in my life. Destroy other things, things, and I'm like, okay, obviously if he destroyed a video game system, I'd be angry with him, but a lot of other things he can bring up. He looked at me with honesty in his eyes and said, "I thought you were good."
Oh, that stings, man.
I will never take it easy on him ever again. You get me into a fighting game, I'm going to obliterate his ass and let him know, hey, I'm the king of this motherfucking castle. And if you ever tell me the princess is another one, I will destroy this one on my way to the other one. This is the way it is from here on out. I thought I was being nice initially. Not happening. Don't ever get me at a first-person shooter either. So kind of it's not exactly similar, but kind of similar story. My brother, my little cousins were over, and my brother was over, and we were playing a bunch of different games. And Mike says we should play Rocket League, and the kids go, "Oh yeah, I guess we can play some Rocket League." So we all just kind of like passing the controller back and forth on Rocket League, and we're playing on my account, which is very low because I don't really play at all. So we're just playing on the social thing, and they're playing, and they're down by 6 points, right? And so they're down by 6 points, and the game only has 1 minute and 30 left in it.
and Mike says, "Give me the controller, and I'm going to win the game." And the kids go, "Nuh-uh, no way, no way." And so we go, "Yeah." Michael says, "Not only will I do it, it's like we're gonna make a bet right now. If I beat it, if I win the game with only a minute and a half left, and we're down by 6, say, what are you guys gonna have to do?" Well, we had been fishing that day, so what we say, you guys have to eat one of the worms when we went fishing earlier. And they're like, "Okay, fine, yeah, sure, fine, we'll eat the worms." Mike, in a minute and a half, scored 7 goals, won the game, and just blew them out of the water. And I'm sitting there, I go, "You guys shouldn't have made that bet the whole time." They're like, "Nuh-uh." And so and I kept every time he scored, I go, "He's getting closer." And then you should have seen. And after that he won, the kids literally turned to me, just like red face, like sweat pouring down, just going, "We didn't make that bet. We didn't say we would. We said gummy worms. We said gummy worms." Like,
I love when they do that. I didn't say that.
Yeah. It's like, "Oh, you did. We were all here. This is exactly what you said."
Oh,
it was adorable.
Awesome. That's
awesome.
awesome.
My God, Michelle, do you ever dunk on kids?
No, because I haven't played competitive games with my nephew yet. Everything we've played has been cooperative, so it's usually just getting frustrated because it'll be like a Mario game, and you know how they do that thing where if you get left behind, you bubble.
Oh yeah.
And it's either he'll sit still and get bubbled, or he takes off and I get bubbled, and it takes forever to beat a level. But most of the time it's just he's been trying to play a lot of Breath of the Wild lately, and I was watching him at Christmas because, he's nowhere near, plot-wise accomplishing anything. He has the paraglider, and I don't even know how he managed that. But, he was getting bored because he was only going to the same places over and over and couldn't really figure out what to do. And it's partially because he doesn't have the patience to read, and partially because he just had no idea what to do. So I was just kind of look around. So I showed him the orange spires, and I'm like, if you go to orange spires and make them blue, your map will open up. What? I was like, yeah, try it. No, you're lying. I was like, well, what are they for? Well, I don't know. I said, okay, go to one. I can't. There's guardians over there. I said, go to a different one. So he does, and he opens the map, and he's like, no way. And then you know what he did? Teleported right back to the spot he was before. Just started running around again. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, well, I don't know what's over there.
Aw, that's such a kid thing to do, though. Man.
That's one of the things, and my nephew doesn't know this yet, but he's been clamoring for a Switch for the past month or so because his best friend has a Switch now. And I've been telling my sister, because she initially was like, hey, should I get him a Switch for Christmas? I go, no, he is not going to appreciate that thing in any capacity. And I'm not trying to do it from we need to keep Switches sacred. He's just not going to care.
No.
At the time, this is before. Actually, it was way before then. Maybe not. Mario Odyssey was out, and I still was like, I don't know if that's going to be really his style. That might be a little bit above his. And I was like, and the big thing is, he's not going to be able to enjoy Breath of the Wild, and that would be such a huge title. And I was like, so at this point, just hold off if he's happy with what he's got. But now it looks like they're going to get it, and so I'm going to that's one of the things I was like, man, I wish he was just 3 or 4 years older. And he might not even care to actually sit down and read and whatnot. That might be his personality, but he can't even do that right now. He's not far enough along in being able to read and things like that for him to really pick up on it. So I was like,
the 7 will
man.
just beat Odyssey the other day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He was telling me he's actually trying to 100% Odyssey. And
I'm
like, you can go for it, buddy.
Yeah. just in the past 3 months, my nephew's shot ahead in his reading class at school. He's finally into it. And he kept telling me, he would look at my collection of 3DS games and he'd be like, can we play this? He'd look at, no. I'm like, why not? And I was like, because you won't learn to read, and I'm not going to sit here and read all of Pokemon to you. So And so now he's finally motivated and he shot ahead in his reading class. So now he's actually in Breath of the Wild and Odyssey, like legitimately trying.
Nice.
And I think he's almost beat Odyssey as well.
Wow.
But he is a little older than your nephew because he's going to be 8 next month.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my nephew's got speech problems, so that makes him not like words in general. So he like tries to stay away. There's a whole bunch of other little things in there, but fuck, man, I wanted him to get into Breath of the Wild, and thinking about that as your first Zelda game, like think about that. Like if you jumped in, you're like, holy shit, like with how wide it open it is comparatively to maybe not our first Zelda games, but the ones we grew up on. The majority were very structured with the 8 dungeons and the weapon power ups and stuff like that. This would have just been like this. Holy shit, this is a completely different world.
Everybody's on that Breath of the Wild bandwagon.
Everybody is on the Breath of the Wild bandwagon. It is such a good bandwagon to be on, though. Like everybody jumping onto that and just saying how great of a game it was beforehand. And then it comes out and you're like, oh yeah, this is actually really fucking good. It's one of the few times. It was one of the few times that like bandwagoning, not maybe one of the few times, but it was one of the times that where you sit there and you're like, wow, bandwagoning, probably a good thing at times. Every once in a while, it's a really good thing.
Speaking of which,
it's a good thing.
I smell a topic.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing too.
Sure, yeah.
I had a recent good experience with bandwagoning, and that was the Super Bowl, because I live around a bunch of Eagles fans who, and the Eagles have never won prior to this year, and my thing was I don't really particularly root for the Eagles, but it's one of those things where like the Patriots are becoming like the Yankees. They're like, okay, like, let somebody else give the chance to win. So I thought it was a good thing to kind of jump on the bandwagon and actually cheer for the Eagles for the sake of everybody around me, because, they played an amazing season and, deserved to have their chance, which they got. So.
And see, I really like that we're going to start this off in a positive direction, because the first thing that at least I think of, and probably quite a few other people might think of, is the negative connotation you might hear when you hear the term bandwagoning. Like, oh, he's just a bandwagoner. People that may be in this situation, they jump on and they start rooting for a team that's winning. The person that goes through and they sit there and they're like, oh, well, the Yankees are really good this year. That's going to be my baseball team. The Golden State Warriors are good this year. That's going to be my basketball team. This is going to be my favorite football team. There's a lot of bad connotations that go with bandwagon, but I really think that there's a lot of situations where it's a really cool thing to have happen. And so I didn't know if anybody else had situations like this, kind of like you said, Brian, with the Breath of the Wild bandwagon, which I think was well established before this game was even announced. People are going to love any Zelda title.
Legend of Zelda has its own.
And Michelle's talking about a personal experience, being able to jump on with a team that maybe she didn't have very much connection with before moving out to where she is now. And so I didn't know if anybody had any of those types of things that they could really go into, where they thought bandwagon, hey, it's just a good thing. And I'll give you one of the ones, and it's a gaming one, because that's usually where I hang out with. Bandwagoning onto it's going to be tough because it kind of doesn't make sense, but bandwagoning onto games when they first release, I think is one of the coolest things. To jump on a game right when it first gets released, if there's in my head, if there's a lot, especially if there's a lot of like social interaction inside of the game, is one of the coolest things. Like being able to go through and they release a game, maybe it's not like as hyped as before the game releases as other games are, like on pre-release advertisements and all this other stuff. And people just jumping on, and the way that I look at it is, even though Dark Souls is already a big title, but like Dark Souls 3 when it first came out, or the original Dark Souls when it first came out, and then like really ramped up with people being able, it was not cross-platform, but it was released on multiple platforms, unlike Demon Souls, which was just on one platform. And everybody jumping on, and it turned into this like crazy environment where there's just invasions constantly, and you had co-op partners out the butt basically to play with. There was just all these open opportunities. People were putting messages down, and that's the way it was from every release since then. But like this whole bandwagon thing where everybody jumped onto it, it was just, I love it when people do that in games where everybody joins in, and all of a sudden it's this huge thing where there's a social aspect of it, and it really kind of fosters a sense of community within a game that maybe didn't have that thought process beforehand that this is what it was going to turn into. So I really like it in that effect.
Yeah, I can see that. Overwatch had something like that, at least because when I first played the beta, like I mean, maybe I was the dumb one that didn't know about the hype going into it, but like I just played the beta at kind of random, and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna try this game out, you know. And I played the beta, and I was like, this is really fun. And then I got it at launch, and next thing you know, it's like 30 million players, and it has its own, e-league and everything else. I was like, holy crap. Like this came out of, for me, it like came out of nowhere. But like during those first few months when it was released, the videos, the memes, the jokes, the pictures, like it was a pretty cool community. And everybody just started jumping on the bandwagon. And I was like, hey, I was there since the beta, so that kind of makes me, this is cool, So so I guess it specifically with games, I guess that would be my equivalent. So kind of fun.
Burke, you got anything?
I guess I could agree with Brian there, because I was on that bandwagon for the beta, because I was like, yeah, it's a cool beta, it's by Blizzard, let's look at it, and I fell in love with Mercy. and that that was it. It's been my love ever since. But I didn't fall as hard as Brian, but I did love watching all the movies and whatnot that they put out about characters and built that backstory. I just enjoyed that because they were produced really well, and I didn't have to read a bunch of shit like Destiny. God damn it! How does a purely multiplayer game have more story?
I know, right?
Sorry. Okay. Anyways, but yeah. Anyways, I got negative there. I'm sorry.
No. Try to say I got you. What about you, Michelle? Did you have any games that you were on the cutting edge of? Part of the initial hype train, I should say.
I'm trying to think. I feel like I kind of was sort of with Pokemon, because I definitely got into it way before most people I knew, including I have one cousin that plays just as many games as I do. I had a lot of cousins growing up that would play games, but I had one that played just as many as I do, actually more, because he would get a lot more for Christmas and birthdays and stuff. And I even got to Pokemon before he did. And mine started out though not with the video games. Mine was with the trading cards. I had a different cousin who just liked the trading cards because she thought the pictures were cute, and she just randomly gave me a Pokemon card, and I was like, whoa. And that's
you remember which one it was?
Ponyta. So that's literally how I started to get into Pokemon at first. And then I was begging and begging and begging for a Game Boy and Pokemon, and I kept getting told no. And then when Pokemon Yellow came out and the Game Boy Color was out, I got my Game Boy Color for Christmas, and then my mom had to write me an IOU because Pokemon Yellow was the thing that year, and she couldn't find a copy anywhere. And I think that was the only time in my life that I had asked for something that was ever that popular, because usually I would wait a year or two and then ask for a console or a game or something, so it would be a lot cheaper.
Sure.
But that was the first time I ever asked for anything pretty quickly. So that was probably one of my gaming ones. Because I feel like I'm usually actually behind in the gaming world rather than ahead. So.
Well, but that's at the same time, talking about the bandwagoning, if we're talking about gaming stuff for a minute, bandwagoning in games seems I have more negative feelings toward it than I do positive feelings usually in general when it comes to bandwagoning in games, because I feel like communities, the bigger they grow, the more toxic they become. So Overwatch, for example, is one of the most toxic environments in the world now. So but it's one of those deals.
That's what happened with League of Legends. That's why I don't play.
Yeah, well, but that. So for me, when I see a bandwagon forming behind a game, I actually have a distrust of the game inherently. I mean, I know this is not the exact same thing, but I'm going to use an example. Mario Odyssey. We just talked about it earlier. I have no desire to go out and buy that game. I'm going to get it and play it eventually, but I have zero interest in that game as a whole, and I had no hype behind that game whatsoever. I've heard people are like, "Oh, it's the greatest game ever. Oh, this is the greatest Mario game ever." And I look at it and I'm like, "It looks like any other Mario game." Like, and I played it when my cousin was over, and I was like, "It plays like more like a cross between 64 and this and that. Like, it's not not bad. It's a fine game." But they're like, "You throw a hat on a guy, it's revolutionary. Holy shit!" And I'm like, "It's not." Like, I was just so unimpressed by it, and so like the community, when I expressed that, I got eaten alive. So it's one of those things where, like, when I see the bandwagons forming behind games, usually I try to be like, I'm moonwalking away from this game, whatever it is, because it's gonna hurt me in the long run. So.
FYI, Mario Odyssey isn't the greatest Mario game there ever was. It's a really fun game, and if you really love, I'm sure other people love it because of like how cute you turn into other things and whatnot. I'm not the one that goes for cuteness and things. I don't care about it. But the amount of tech that you have for movement and completing things with that hat, oh my God, that's what I ended up loving about it. But this isn't going to be me gushing on Mario Odyssey podcast.
No, just real quick, what is the best Mario game? Just curious.
Well, I mean, I've just got a massive connection with Mario 64, and it's hard to disassociate that. It's the same thing with Ocarina of Time. Like, that still is my favorite Zelda game pretty much of all time, but it's hard not to be because that was the first one that that you kind of fall in love with. And it's everything around that age, the 64 era. A lot of those games were, I loved them because they were the first time I really dove into that, but that's not the side thing. But anyway,
I got you.
Buy Mario Odyssey. It's really good. No. That's really good.
Bandwagon.
Yes. Go ahead, Bert.
So talking on, I know we've been talking kind of, I guess, Nintendo and Switch, and that makes me want to go, like, I said I wouldn't buy the Switch, I think probably on a podcast, a year ago. And now I'm sitting here going, I could do that because, one, like, Emily wants to play Mario with me.
It's a great little co-op game for, that's a great co-op game for you too.
Yeah, and she tried to convince me to get it for Valentine's Day. I'm a bad husband and didn't. Sorry, sweetie. Whenever you get to this podcast.
Yeah, so anyways, you and I are different. My wife ever tells me to do anything with a video game purchase, I'm doing it.
Yeah. And there's a chance I do have a trip coming up this weekend, so I may be getting a Switch.
Hey, that's
an idea that just popped in my head. Thanks, Craig.
Yep.
You're an asshole.
Jumping on the Nintendo bandwagon.
Yep. All right. Anyways, so I am jumping on that bandwagon pretty much right now, and I wonder if it's just because I've had too much to smoke, or it's a really good idea.
Yes,
could be both.
Yes,
I think it's both.
Yes. So there are other things along those lines where originally you had no intention of joining onto some bandwagon, maybe even actively were like, I do not want to be a part of this. This is dumb. Or just to the point where you're completely clueless of it. And even when you did hear about it, you didn't really want to investigate. And then you kind of fell into it and then went, holy shit, how did I live my life without this? Or maybe a lesser version of that. You have two of them. I have
two of these, yes.
Okay.
So my first is, I would say, hockey. I never had an interest in watching sports growing up because generally my stepdad was screaming at the TV, and I was like, well, that's not fun. I don't want to sit here and listen to him yell for hours.
You take that back.
And then, unfortunately, at the time when I started to get into hockey was a time where the Red Wings were winning a lot. So everyone was like, well, that's why you're interested. And it was like, well, no. I mean, it makes it more fun. I hate when people say that because, like, it's really hard to get into a team that's just losing all the time. It really is. Like, and I don't believe anybody when they're like,
I'm a Lions fan.
Yeah, but, like, there's also family things with that for you. Like, if your family didn't watch the Lions, do you really think you would be into the Lions?
Honestly,
no one in your family, your brother, your dad, nobody.
No, I think that I honestly don't know if I would, but I think that the reason I feel connected to the Lions more is not the family thing so much as it is just it's where I'm from. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but there's a lot of Michigan teams I just don't give a shit about.
But I don't like those sports.
Well, yeah,
like football is a sport that I can watch, and it in the Lions represent Detroit to me. Where the same way to the Tigers, I'm sure represent Detroit to Craig. You know what I mean? But
they do to me too. Like if I'm gonna root for an NFL team, it's gonna be the Lions. But at the same time, like,
and that's my sport of choice.
I'm not
so that's
gonna
why I'm
sit there
saying.
and be like, I'm not really into the Lions because they don't do anything. I'm sorry.
I think it also helps that you're only putting in like 4 hours a week for 16-ish weeks, you know what I mean? Comparatively, like putting in the time for a hockey where you're putting in 3-ish hours, I'll just round up and say 3 hours every other night for 6 months, or baseball 3 hours every goddamn day of your life. It's a lot harder when they're losing constantly to be in it, to where it's like the Lions, you get in there, you're like, oh, they lost again. Well, I've got 6 days to go do whatever the hell I want from here on out, or 7 days. I think that makes it easy. I'm not trying to dissipate Brian's love and say that he's not a big fan of it. I just think it makes it easier because right now it's fucking hard to watch the Tigers, and there's plenty of times I go, I'll skip tonight. Or I'll have it on in the background and I'll do something else.
When the Tigers, had all those close calls, that's when my sister got into baseball because it was easier to get into because they were winning. So anyway, hockey was my first one that, I feel like started as like a bandwagoning thing. And then actually, I think I have 3 stories. But I've told Harry Potter before, like where I was like resistant to get into Harry Potter because everybody else was into it. So
and that was going to be one of mine. Was the entire series had come out, and I would actively, my buddy Kirk, I would go over his parents' house, and his parents and older sister, loved the series, and they would go through. They only watched the parents only watched the movies, but every time the movie would come out, they were like, "No, come on, we'll pay for your guys' tickets. We'll get you candy. We'll get you whatever you guys want. Just come with us to go watch the movies." We're like, "No, we're going to sit here and play video games instead." And like, we'd actively kind of giggle like, yeah, we're not going to go watch that little kid's movie, Harry Potter. There's no possible way. And then I read the books in 2 weeks. I just blew through all the books and I went, wow, I was wrong.
Yeah.
I was horribly wrong about my whole life.
I think I told that story before though, so I don't want to get into it that. But then my other major one that I was thinking was actually PC gaming. Like, I was like very,
interesting.
Growing up very diehard, like, because we didn't have good PCs anyway, so I was very diehard, like consoles and stuff like that. And then when I finally got like a gaming PC, I was like, why was I so angry about this? It's basically just another console, like. And that's pretty much how I look at it now. But PC gaming was my other thing because everybody was like, yeah, it's so worth it. And I was like, I
still really want to get into that. It's so hard to go away from the things that brought me so much love for my entire life. But I think it's going to be the case next generation. I think I'm pretty much done. But then I ended up, with, especially with cheap humble bundles and stuff, almost 400 games on Steam. So. Mm-hmm, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. I have 3.
Yeah. Humble bundle stuff is amazing. It's like, you want to put like $1 in, you get like 10 great games. Sure, why not?
Yeah. See, it's funny because when this topic was suggested, the only thing that I could think about is my negative normal situation when it comes to the word bandwagon, because like I'm reminded of things like that I really liked and was passionate about that like people started getting on the bandwagon for, and then I'm like, you assholes, I was here first. Like it makes me feel hipstery, but it's one of those things that just drives me nuts.
And that's one of the things that I actually really wanted to bring up on this podcast, was because I felt the same way about so many things for such a long time. Because I still get it's so archaic of a thought process of like, well, I liked it first, so clearly I'm a little bit more elite than you are. Like when Halo first came out, guess who was playing multiplayer before you guys? You jumped in Halo 2, or, just stuff like that.
Yeah.
And there's to me, and especially with sports, there's such a negative connotation with it, with like, well, you're not a true fan of of my whatever team you want to say, the Kansas City Royals. I was a better Kansas City Royals fan, and I stick through the bad times to where like I kind of wanted to bring it up as almost like a PSA, like, all right, so someone's having fun. Like, how is this stopping you from having fun, from enjoying your team because someone jumped in now? Like, it's a whole thing with it, and how I think. Yeah, go ahead.
No. I see. I hear what you're saying. I'm just reminded of like, all right, one specific example is like comic book heroes, right? I knew about comic book heroes from comic books and from cartoons and stuff growing up as a kid. That was a negative when I was growing, when I was a little kid, like where no one else knew about this stuff. But then suddenly that got really all popular, and everyone's like, "Oh man, I love Iron Man. Robert Downey Jr. is the tits," and I'm like, screw you, kid. You didn't know who Tony Stark was until 2008, whatever. You know what I mean? Like there's like this like level of it. But the worst one I ever, and I have a specific example, is the one that I like use and like that irks me to this day. Do you remember the very first Fantastic Four movie that came out with Jessica Alba and all that stuff?
Mm-hmm.
You remember that movie? It wasn't good, was it? Right? It wasn't that great.
No, it's
I think we all agree
it's
it wasn't
not a great movie.
If I went,
it's not awful.
I didn't
It's not
mind
awful. I'm not saying it's awful, but it wasn't like great, right?
Right.
And would you, but let's put it this way: would you say that what you saw in that movie is canon for the entirety of Fantastic Four?
I think you're asking the wrong group, but no.
No, well, my point is this: it's a one movie, one interpretation of the movie, right?
Right.
And I had a guy argue me tooth and nail, saying, "No, Johnny Storm is the most powerful guy in the entire Marvel universe because he can go supernova. He did it. He went in a circle. He went the heat of supernova, supernova." I was like, "Oh!" I was ready to punch this kid, and he held this true to his heart. He truly believed that because he saw it in the movie, it was a fact in the Marvel universe that the most powerful person in the Marvel universe was Johnny Storm because he could create a supernova heat whenever he wanted. And I was so frustrated, and it was like for one of the first times that like I had with the bandwagoning effect on the other side of it been like so elitist, being like, "Oh my God, you have no idea what you're talking about. You don't even know who Johnny Storm is," kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Though technically, that is a Marvel universe in a
for
sense.
that one self-contained
it's
movie.
a very self-contained bubble universe, and that's the way that I want to make sure that hopefully everybody from here on out sees all of these things. And I'm not even saying this here, I'm saying this for every comic book series of people's, so I can enjoy my comic book movies from here on out. It's a different universe. That's how I've just always looked at it. It's not going to be Ready Player One, which is not out as of this airing. I still don't believe there's no possible way it could be. It comes out March, May, I don't know. That is a different Ready Player One universe when it hits the silver screen up there comparatively to the one I went through in the book. I'm just putting that in my mind where I go, hey, remember that thing you loved? It's not that. You're going to find something completely else here. Find a way to enjoy it.
Yeah. And the thing is that I don't mean to be like down on this guy, but like realistically, I had this conversation with him probably 30 times. And he just wouldn't concede.
Well, no, I have the same thing with the fucking Batman v Superman that just came out. Like, it's very hard for me to reconcile. I know you have more of the qualms on the Superman side at the beginning of the DC movie universe right now, but like the Batman side of the theatrical release, like, I still can't get my head around it. And when people go like, well, that's kind of the dumb Batman, he talks in that dumb Batman voice, even if you're talking to like other ones, you're like, yeah, but fucking realize there's more iterations of Batman besides Christian Bale's voice, right? Like, you understand that. And if you go back and read through these, like, you would understand. And it's that thing where you're like, these people are just jumping on the pop culture bandwagon and they don't really understand.
Speaking of which, it's popular to hate on those, It's that was what I was going to say beforehand, because I did want to get into at one point was some of the times that it's a negative bandwagon effect. Things that are, I was going to kind of bring into things that are like, hey, things that go viral and end up being like a bandwagon jump on. Things we could talk about that are of recently, the Tide Pod Challenge meme being a bandwagon thing or a viral thing. They can be kind of interchangeable, those two words at this point. That, or like you just said, people hating on the DC universe, regardless of what they actually think of the films, like, or if they had a choice in the matter to begin with. I really think that the bandwagon effect of like, hey, it's fucking great to hate on these movies right now, regardless of how good the movies are from here on out, people are going to hate on them because it's this bandwagon effect of Marvel Cinematic Universe movies are really good and DC movies are not good. And like, that's just how it feels like it's going. And that was going to be my big example of just a bandwagon effect that you're like, ah, shit, this is just hurting things overall. Maybe it's just in my personal viewpoint on that one, but that was a big one for me.
I think that's true. I think that happens too. I feel like that during console wars too.
Yep.
Like when, everyone just always starts shitting on Nintendo ahead of time. Like, well, this is going to be stupid. They don't give it a chance. Like I feel the same exact way that you do about DC versus Marvel as I do about console wars. I just want to be like, shut the fuck up and enjoy whatever you enjoy.
That's a huge thing, and I'm trying to learn as an adult is, hey, don't worry that this person likes something that's has no connection to the real world, really, like console wars or which movies you like. We're obviously not talking some other things that affect everybody else, but just things like that where it's like, I really like the color green. What? Fuck you. Blue's better. Blah. Just like, who the fuck cares? Just everybody gets to enjoy it. So
I care. I care when you assholes show up in gold suits at my wedding.
That's happening.
Hey, no, look, I'm willing to compromise. Just the ties are gold. What do you say?
I'm willing to compromise. It won't be a suit, but we're still going to be just completely covered in gold. You just get to choose the type of material it is. It's going to be gold regardless.
Could be clothes, could be spray paint, whatever you need us to wear.
Really. We can put numbers on it so you can identify us by number instead of name, because you don't want to say our names out loud at that point, whichever one you want.
I'll get one of those tuck shirts and all the lines will be gold.
Oh, yeah.
Was there any other little things here or there where somebody didn't like the fact that a bandwagon started in some way?
I don't have any more other than console wars.
I don't know. I get angry about the one I just mentioned, and then realistically, any sort of like basically another thing that I noticed is people bandwagon behind individuals rather than behind an idea, whether it's good or bad. So, for example, if a popular YouTuber says, "Hey guys, Bob here, just want to say that Spelunky's the greatest game of all time," everyone's like, "Hell yeah, Spelunky!" and they just get on this giant Spelunky bandwagon because Bob said it was cool, right? The difference between being an influencer and being a popular figure and being able to dictate where the bandwagon goes, I think that's a power that really needs to be checked, looked at. People need to make better critical decision making on their own, something but that it's a genuine concern of mine, because I've seen so many games and other things, as games, I use that as my bigger example, but things get either rise to power that shouldn't, and things that shouldn't be torn down get torn down just because of a popular person's opinion on something.
It's always been like that, but now it's affecting the gaming world.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's also just easier to get those people's opinions now, too.
Oh, yeah.
The advent of social media really kind of fucked up the bandwagoning effect. From it used to be word of mouth, and so you actually had to face people when you talked either shit or talked praise about something. There was an actual connection, and now it's just like, oh no, we're gonna fucking hate on this, and just everybody can pour in on it and completely ruin something. Or there's chances that there's a bandwagon effect the other way, because like I said, I want to try and keep things positive as much as possible during this, where there is something that is brought to light and people bandwagon on some kind of cause because of there being something that was wrong, and you're able to join in on this because of the social media. So yeah, it's both sides.
Which would be that's best case scenario,
yeah.
And that's awesome when you see that kind of thing happen. Absolutely.
Who's got the quiz tonight?
That would be me. The quiz tonight is 12 questions long, and boy, oh boy, are you guys screwed.
Yay!
Well, it's okay.
All right, we all got dunked on.
Here's the deal. The quiz tonight is going to be, when I say on a potpourri, it is a potpourri sort of quiz, okay?
All right.
Bandwagoning, I took to interpret as bandwagoning and as well as trends and that sort of thing. So basically things that people jump all over and follow. So you guys are going to be getting quite a variety of questions. So the only thing I need from you, Burke, is our order.
It's going to be I'll answer first, then Craig, and then Michelle.
All right, let's begin. Question number 1. This fashion trend, meant mainly for women, involves wearing basically a jumpsuit.
Parachute pants.
Parachute pants.
I have no fucking clue.
God, I know what you're going for, and I'm trying to remember the term right now. Shit.
What is furries?
What? I know what you're going for, and I just cannot think of the term, and I don't know if I want to help Michelle out or not, even though she probably already knows. Whatever, shorts. I can't think of the term. Good, skip, whatever. Done.
So I'm just not sure if this is what you're going for. But the answer I'm going to give is romper.
There we go. That
Michelle
was the word I
gets the
wanted.
point.
That is the exact word I wanted. Damn it.
That's exactly what I had in my
Yep,
my mind.
that's exactly what I
Yeah.
had. I just could not think of the term, so I
Mark,
just
you
literally
liar.
said a piece of
Literally.
clothing.
Oh, you
That's
did?
what I had in my mind.
Oh,
and I was
no
like,
shit.
I don't know what the fuck. That's why I said parachute pants.
Okay.
I knew
Romper
it was
is
romper.
correct.
I just could not think of the fucking term.
Number 2. At some point, this game was played by almost all popular YouTubers during the months of December and January. It involves a man in a pot climbing a mountain. What is the game?
I'm going to go last.
This was a huge bandwagon trend that ran straight through YouTube, Twitch, everywhere else in between. Just kind of had a huge following
In
out of
the
nowhere.
December and January of like these past ones.
This year,
Okay.
yeah.
What is the Price is Right game where the man goes yodelay and just climbs up? That's
I
the
love
game.
that game.
That's
That's
the
one of
game.
my favorite games on The Price is Right.
I never understood it, but okay.
I don't know. A Hat in Time. I know that was big
Hat in
recently.
Time. Okay.
I unfortunately don't know the full title because it's getting over it with like Brandon something.
I'll give it to you. That's fine.
I can't remember the
Bennett
name.
Foddy.
Bennett Foddy. I knew it was a weird name,
Yep.
but it's getting over it with Bennett Foddy.
So we had a so Craig gets the point for that one.
Gotcha.
So number 3, up to this point, we've had a fashion question, a game question. Now we're going to test your American history knowledge. Okay. One example of a countrywide bandwagon effect was the American Gold Rush, which ran from 1848 through blank. What year did the American Gold Rush end?
What is 56?
I'm going to go with 52.
When did the Civil War start? I'm gonna say 1861.
The closest one is Burke. The answer is 1855. 1855. Yeah, you guys are going to learn some shit today. Also stupid things, but there you go.
All right.
Number 4. Can't sit still, always filled with energy and can't concentrate. This medical device and social trend can help.
What is the shake weight?
The shake weight.
Do you have the right answer, Michelle? Do you think?
I do.
Okay, I'm going to go with fidget spinner.
Yeah, I was gonna say fidget cube or fidget spinner.
That is correct. Number 4. It's a medical device first and social trend second, but then it...
Seriously?
Yep.
It can.
Oh.
I've messed with one.
Yeah.
It can legitimately help people with sensory disorders.
That's what that was why it was created, and then people with non-sensory disorders saw it and were like, "Hey, I could be an asshole with this." And next thing you know, they're everywhere.
Then everybody bandwagoned on it, and it turned it
Yep.
into a fashion faux pas, and people that actually need it might feel stupid actually using it.
Correct.
Yay.
Yay. Number 5. This food item is arguably the most bandwagon food of our current day. With everyone and their brother claiming it is, quote, the best. So what is the food item that is arguably the most bandwagon food in America today?
What is Qdoba?
Oh, I wish, buddy.
Qdoba.
I have no fucking
How
clue.
confident do you feel, Michelle?
I think I've got a pretty good answer. I don't know if it's right, but I have a pretty good answer.
I'm going to go with kale.
Okay, I'm gonna
Kale.
go with avocado toast.
Oh, avocado. That's a good one.
The answer I was looking for, tacos. Pizza was the old favorite of America until tacos took its job.
I said Qdoba, that counts.
I'm actually going to give Burke half a point for
I'd
saying
give like a half a point. He was way closer than the rest of us.
I'll give it to him. I'm going to give half a point to Burke. Tacos. It's America's most bandwagon food at the moment. Just look online. Trust me on this.
Wow.
Awful.
Oh, for sure. It would have been some health craze thing.
Nope. Everybody, like, if you go online, it's like literally you can buy 800 shirts that say it's Taco Tuesday. Oh, I hate taco. Whatever.
Tacos.
It's everywhere. Did I see it? Taco. All right, number 6. Hurry up and invest in this bandwagon stock. Oh wait, it's worthless again. What bandwagon investing did I just describe?
Can you repeat that?
I can. Hurry up and invest in this bandwagon stock. Oh, wait, it's worthless again. What bandwagon investing was I just describing? So what stock was I just describing? That
Bitcoin.
okay?
I was gonna say that you missed a couple steps in there of, oh no, wait, it's really good. Oh no, fuck it. Oh shit, it's hurting. I'm gonna also go with Bitcoin / cryptocurrencies.
Okay.
Yeah, my initial thought was Bitcoin, and then I also thought Google and Microsoft, but I'll go with Bitcoin.
All three of you get the point. Bitcoin, yes. Number 7. This fashion trend has dipped in and out of favor over the years, but has hit new heights in the winter of 2017. Blank jackets are so in the season. So this is a type of jackets. Blank jackets of the winter season of 2017 are so in.
Flak
What
jackets.
type of jacket? Flat jackets.
I was gonna go with fur jackets because we know that's not the case.
Okay.
I'm talking like mink fur.
Oh.
Test.
I'm like trying to picture jackets we sold. Puffy, the really puffy jackets.
I'm gonna give Michelle the point. It's the point. It's puffer jackets. Puffer jackets.
I thought that was the trend last year.
That's this.
Because that's what everyone was walking around
It
in
dips
last year.
in and
here.
out of season, Burke, and this year it is hot.
Well,
Every
fuck me.
fucking female in my family, wife and other blood related relatives included, all have those goddamn jackets.
Yep.
I hate those jackets.
Next year, it might not be hot anymore. I'm just saying.
Oh no, mom's had it for like fucking 10 years.
Well, she.
It's back in style, everyone.
Yeah. Oh my
That would be the in and out portion.
Slay, queen, slay.
Yeah.
Number 8.
Oh my God,
Everyone loves a
that
good
was
meme, and there was a lot of hype and wondering what the first viral meme of 2018 was going to be. The answer was something no one saw coming. What is the first viral meme of 2018 that everyone couldn't help but jump on? So what is the first big meme of 2018?
something with Trump.
Okay, something with Trump.
I have no fucking clue.
It all depends, because this is one of the worlds I am in, and I might be like, oh, well, Brian, technically.
This one's the.
I'm torn between two.
I'm just going to go with the one I think of, which is the Tide Pod Challenge. That was early in the year. Technically, it was part of 2017, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm like torn between the Tide Pod Challenge and that thing where it was like, if you play this at this exact time, it'll get to this part at midnight and you'll start off the year right.
Good. Pretty good. I have one other one, but go ahead.
Well, as I said, I will say this: try not to do things that would have carried over from 2017. This is like the new hotness of 2018. Like
you're gonna make me say it, aren't you?
I'm gonna make you say what I'm trying to help you and Michelle out here.
You son of a bitch! You're gonna make me say it. You know I fucking hate this.
I don't know what you're saying.
Ugandan knuckles.
But what is the meme though, Craig? How does it go? What does he
the
say?
The meme name is Ugandan Knuckles, not what his phrase is.
No, but what's the phrase that made it famous? Well, I'm just curious,
I
Craig.
just found out about this for the first time like a week ago.
That's what you think it is?
Do you know the way?
Okay, that's what Craig thinks it is. I just wanted to see if you would actually say it. So, Michelle, what do you think it is?
I don't know. I'm gonna go with my if you play the thing at the exact time.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Craig gets the point. It is Ugandan Knuckles. Do you know the way? Everybody's favorite 2018 meme. Way to start the year off, people.
Oh, fuck me.
Yep.
I did not know that was from this year.
That is.
It came about like the second or the third of this year, and then it really hit popularity. I'm not saying this is the event, but it hit popularity like huge during AGDQ. Like I remember it popping up like crazy during there, and I was like, oh fuck no, it's going everywhere. No, please stop.
Yep, it was the first real meme of 2018.
So technically it started before then, but
the only time I heard it was literally when Mike plays it when we're playing hockey or some shit like that.
Oh yeah, he has that soundboard.
There are plenty of videos of the Ugandan Knuckles from late December.
But yes,
from late December. But I'll take that.
Oh fuck you, Brian.
I read the news.
Craig,
I don't make it.
Meme elitist here.
Meme
elitist.
Number 9. When a team is winning, it's easy to be on their side, but it's a lot harder to be a fan when no one else believes. What is the least popular NFL team based on the lowest average stadium attendance? And I chose football for a specific reason. If I chose hockey, Michelle had an advantage. If I chose baseball or soccer or anything like that, you guys each would have had advantages. So football's neutral ground on this one. So what is the least popular NFL team? Lowest average stadium attendance?
Let's go with the Texans. I have no fucking clue.
Craig's still thinking, so I'll say my answer. Bears.
This is tough. There's a couple of them. I'm going to end up just going with the Dolphins.
Okay, nobody gets a point on this one. It
Browns.
is the Los Angeles Chargers. Los Angeles Chargers.
It was between the two Florida teams because no one fucking goes to any Florida sports team. Baseball, basketball, doesn't fucking matter. No one goes. Actually,
I was thinking Jacksonville.
And so it was one of the Florida teams, one of the fucking three, Tampa Bay, Miami, or Jacksonville. And then it was going to be the Chargers because they've just been shitty for a long time. Yeah. But they were fourth on my list.
Number 10. Call them hipsters, contrarian, or just assholes. Some people like to go against the grain just because. If you feel this way, you should move to the city with the highest population of hipsters in the country. This is according to CBS News. They figured out where the highest population of hipsters is located in the country. What is the name of that city?
Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas.
How comfortable are you, Michelle?
Fairly.
Portland.
I'm gonna go with Seattle.
And no one gets the point. The highest population is in, ready for this? Hoboken, New Jersey.
Damn it, that was my second guess.
Not getting Hoboken, New Jersey.
Is it by population percentage or by population in general?
Because that's not a big city at all.
No, it's probably by percentage. But yeah, that was the one that
it would
CBS
have to be
News.
Because it's not a large town.
Yeah. I just found it funny.
That makes more sense.
Because all it does is remind me of the end of Dude, Where's My Car? Remember that?
Nope.
The canteen you transfunctioner. It was the device thing, and they're firing it, and he goes, "We banish you to Hoboken, New Jersey." You don't remember that?
I mean, you might as well just call it New York. Because it's right across from it.
Well, I'm sure they would. Yeah, but I'm just.
Well, then all I think about is the How I Met Your Mother. How there's a huge thing between people that live in New York and
that's true.
Actual New Jersey.
I know. That's why.
You flush yourself down the toilet called the Holland Tunnel into the New Jersey.
That's
you guys. All right, number 11. This bandwagon trend is about shoes. What shoe brand whose elevated soul has elevated soles and became a popular trend in the 1990s? So I'm looking for a shoe brand that was popular in the 1990s, known for their elevated soles. So this was during our lifetime.
Skechers.
There's a lot that had elevated soles.
Oh fuck. Ooh.
I know what you're talking about. I'm trying to think of the names. Something along the lines of like the fucking Shape Ups or something along those lines. They're like the walking shoe.
God, I'm torn. I'm torn between Chucks and Jordans. I don't know which one to go with. I'm going to say Jordans.
Okay. Unfortunately, nobody gets the point. I was looking for Doc Martens or Dr. Martens. They were a huge trend in the 1990s. Say for their known for their especially elevated platform soles. Fun fact: the brand of Doc Marten actually has been around since the 60s, but it got popular in the 90s. All right. Last question, number 12. Bandwagoning can be a double-edged sword. Sometimes a fan base can grow so large that it inspires contrarians who like to tear down what has become beloved. A great example of this is with the games Blank and Blank. Widely regarded as some of the best games of all time, they have now come under fire and are now more often than not treated as games to mock. Because it's popular to hate on them. And I'm going to give you guys a hint. The system that these two games that I'm referring to are talking about is the Nintendo 64. So these are two games for the Nintendo 64 that it is wildly popular now to hate on, but they were a beloved beforehand, before they became as hated as they are now? What 2 games?
I have no fucking clue. Mario Kart and a Zelda game. Sure, there you go.
Well, how about this, Burke? Because you don't know that there was 2 Zelda games that came out for the 64. There was Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time. You pick one of the 2, and I'll count that as your vote.
Majora's Mask.
Okay,
right, sure.
Fuck, I honestly don't know. I'm gonna just go with. I'm gonna go with Star Fox 64 and Goldeneye.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Ocarina of Time and Mario 64.
Michelle gets both points. Both of those games now are for the most part, when you go online, not universal. They're not. People don't always, just not everybody, obviously, but there's a huge growing following of people who hate on those games in particular, citing things like primitive polygonal graphics. It's a Ocarina of Time's poor use of camera, and it's a Mario 64's like draw distance, and basically they're shitting all over those games, and saying like it's like if you want to like a really good one, look to Sunshine. Sunshine's the real first time that they got platforming right as a 3D Mario. Like it's very toxic. Is he going online and looking up that stuff now?
Interesting.
We definitely hang out in different circles. I've never heard not one bad thing about it, but I haven't heard any of those.
Oh, it's
complaints.
Ocarina of Time is really hated on people. Oh my god, especially after that after the whole Ego Raptor thing where he came out with the sequelitis on it. People go, yeah, it's like, that's right, this one sucks, and so they'll say A Link to the Past or like later games are better, but Ocarina of Time has become really shit on online. It's getting worse.
Does it help if your controls aren't ass though?
Oh, that game sucks. I hate that game, but that's a personal choice, not a bandwagon choice. That's against that. That's the hipster choice, I guess. It'd be the opposite of that. Contrarian.
Yeah, I haven't heard either one of those complaints.
Yeah,
and even,
I only guessed Ocarina of Time because I saw a thing recently that someone said it should be removed from the canon timeline because Breath of the Wild makes it make no sense and stuff like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I would give them that because they didn't screw the pooch, but they were like, let's really make things fucking confusing in the timeline. Let's make 3 different timelines out of one game.
Mm-hmm.
That fucks with me. I'd go with that one, but the other ones don't even make sense to me. It's like, well, yeah, that was the first of its kind, so it's not going to be great.
Mario
but
64 because everyone else loves it, and I never did love it. So I was like, well, maybe people feel like
there
I do.
There you
go. Hey, all Michelle, right. If you want to just move right on out of the podcast now. We'll see you later.
I don't think it's a bad game. I just suck at it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Craig, you have no room to talk because you came in second to Michelle's 6 points with 4. Yeah, I got 2.5 points. So
Michelle wins.
Yay, Michelle!
Michelle wins at being kicked out of the fucking podcast.
Hey, Burke, don't jump on his bandwagon on that.
But what if I want to? I don't know if I should. Michelle should. I don't know. So, anyways, guys, I do want to ask y'all a final question.
Okay.
So, we've talked about good and whatnot, but like, I want to talk in one game in particular that I know it's a bandwagon that we all jumped on at one point or another, and then just got shit on. So, Brian, let's start with you, Brian. Did you jump on the Destiny bandwagon?
I was both feet. It's a right thumbs up. Let's do this. I was on board.
Yep. Craig?
I was so in the deep end of that fucking bandwagon pool.
I know. And Michelle, to an extent.
I was too, and I don't even I've never played Bungie games before and never really enjoyed them. And I was like, oh my God, I'm fucking excited for Destiny.
And so did I. And you know what fucking happened? We all got fucking dunked on. So sad.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did.
Every ounce. Every ounce. I mean, it was like they lined up multiple dunk champions.
I have
we all
never
just sat
owned a
under the basket
$60
like this.
game that I've only invested 15 minutes into.
I forced myself to go up to 40 hours on that game. And once I hit 40, I go, I can take a $20 loss. And I'm done. I'm
I
out.
played multiplayer and I was like, I'm like, this is the only part that's semi-redeemable. And then like everyone started using like a specific gun that I didn't have, and I'm like, this is no longer redeemable.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I didn't get nearly my time because I bought the fucking like special edition for $100.
Yeah.
Oh,
I only put in
shit.
40 hours. What? I'm not going back and playing it to try and get my money's worth. Like that will actually cost me more money because it's costing me my time to do that. It's not fucking happening.
Yep.
I can't do it.
Oh man, I'm just picturing all of us this being like trying to go get our money back for all the things that we could hop on bandwagons for over the years, you know. Like when
God.
Star
I'd be
Fox
so far
Assault,
down.
I like remember Star Fox Assault. I spent a lot of money on that game for GameCube. And that was a nightmare.
Really fucking glad I didn't jump on the Google Glass goddamn bandwagon. That'd have been a big money sink for it to just be shit down on. I got the fucking one of the, not first, but I was on the second wave of invites for that beta. Holy shit, that could have been potentially bad.